Good morning, kiddos. I say morning because it actually is morning and not filming it at night, and I get all this lovely natural light going on. So, what are we going to talk about today? I get asked a lot about people wanting to get into deity work. Now, we're going to cover quite a few things on this. We'll cover it from the aspects of, do you have a deity, do you not have a deity, the differences between worship and patrons, and all that jazz. So, let's say you have come to the conclusion that you want to work with a deity. Awesome. But you don't know what deity that you want to work with. Now, what I like to explain to people is it's not always about you picking. It's not about, who vibes with you the best. Sometimes, and keep in mind that this is a two-way street relationship. So it also involves them accepting you. Now, the way that I recommend doing it, now, some of you know that I have a how to do a sacrifice video. And basically petitioning gods. And the way that I explain it is I don't angle for a particular god. I just set the table and see who shows up. Having a deity approach you is much the same fashion. You set your stage, so to speak, gives them the opportunity to come to you. Now, does it work all the time? No. But the thing about that is sometimes just because you think that you're ready for that doesn't mean that they think you're ready for that. So if you don't have a deity, that is fine. If you don't have a deity approach you, that is also fine. And it just means that we're not there yet. You gotta crawl before you walk, before you run. You can't just go and jump straight to running. There's still a process and a certain level of experience that has to be gained to get there. So, I hope that answers that question. Now, let's say you want to have a patron deity. Patron deities work a little differently. And I get a lot of people not getting that one right. So, definition-wise, a patron is a sponsor, basically. Think of it like an employer. And so basically you go through this process of like, this is what I'm looking for in a job. And they're like, okay. And they go through all your stuff and they come to the conclusion like, yeah, I want to hire you. I want you to work for me. Now, a patron is, having a patron deity is like a contract. And I know I talk about contracts in the familiars video as well. And having a patron means that you're agreeing to learn and work and serve under that deity. Not everyone has to do this. Not everyone has to have a patron deity. A patron agreement is a specific calling, we'll say. They reach out to you, they make an offer, you can accept or you can decline. Simple as that. I have a patron deity. And I knew what I was doing when I entered into this agreement. I knew what it was. I knew that this was a lifetime commitment. That I was going to work and serve under this deity. I knew that from the very beginning. And I knew that I was going to be operating under the guidelines of that deity. Now, I get contracted out to other deities. And I use that because contracting out is a really good way to explain the dynamic. So what does that mean? It means that I will do work for other deities if I am so inclined to do so, and if that is what my patron wants of me. So I did minor servitor things for different deities that are not my patron, but I am not obligated under them. It's basically like subcontracting. So you can still work for a deity without them being your patron. Now let's talk about worship. Because there seems to be a lot of negative connotations circulating around worship that I don't understand. Because I actually saw a comment earlier this morning where they were talking about deity work and everything. And one person was like, oh, I don't worship. It is a mutual relationship with mutual respect. Let me explain why I have a serious issue with that. So that is implying that this is a mutual thing, that this is on the same level peer type of thing, and that is not the case. And I don't know where people are getting this ego that, you know, they're on the same level. These are divine beings. These are higher powers that are eternal, in a manner of speaking. You are not. You are not. And you are a mortal person. And they are significantly higher on the food chain than you are. And, I mean, respect is fine. That is fine. I'm not knocking that. My deities respect me for the most part. Sometimes I'm a little shit ass. Not gonna lie. Sometimes I like to argue. I do not push my luck because I know better. Same way that you're only going to get away with so much back talk to a parent before they correct you. But I digress. It's not, we're just going to, no. Just no. That's not how it works. That is not the dynamic. But anyway, negative connotations about worship. So, deities, for the most part, a lot of their power and authority comes from our worship, from our prayer. Think of it like a symbiotic relationship of energy. Now, that being said, if you don't have a patron, if the servitor thing is not your jam, which is perfectly fine, you are still welcome to worship deities. Now, what I do suggest is if you want to worship deities, make sure you educate yourself about your deity and learn what it is that they like, what it is that they value, and what is within your means. Now, I know that the altar thing has a lot of that. People build altars for their deities. That is fine. But it is also not necessary. I talk about that in a separate video about altars and tools and why you don't need them. But there's nothing wrong with worship. And I don't know why people treat it like it's this degrading thing, because it's not. You are acknowledging this higher power that you value and that you take interest in. You are valuing them, and in worshiping them, you are saying, hey, I acknowledge your existence and I appreciate what you do. And we need to get away from this, what can I get out of it? Because that is not what faith is about. Faith and religion, and specifically in this context, paganism, is not about what you're going to get. I like to akin it to the one-sided friendship analogy. You don't want to be that friend that always comes around when they want something or when they need something with no other thanks or acknowledgement beyond that. So when you treat it like a transactional relationship, that deity is not going to want to have anything to do with you. And to be honest, it's just a really crappy thing to do, is, only expect things from them. Worship is acknowledgement. Worship is respect. And you can't say, I don't worship and I respect in the same general context, not specifically to a deity, but the religion as a whole. So, patrons is a contract. Worship is okay. Not having a deity is okay. And what else was there? Oh, like them approaching you. If you're not ready, you're not ready, and that's fine. We all have to start somewhere. It is all a process, and we all grow at a different rate. I've been pagan for full blown, like converted out 17 years now. Which is, like, that was the time frame from me taking my oaths to my patron to now. Now, there was that transition period of where I was coming out of Christianity and into paganism, and we all go through that, and that's fine. I will touch about that in a whole other setting, because I do want to talk about the Christo-pagans or the Christian pagans, because I've got a lot of opinions on that, to be honest with you. But Also, I think people get a little too familiarized. I'm not sure if that's a good word or not, but they try to apply the human experience, we'll say, to deities. Like the whole God spousing. I have a lot of negative opinions on that. But keep in mind that deities are not humans. And we try to apply our social conditioning to them, and that's not how it should be going down. They dull themselves down so that we can engage with them without frying our brains. But we need to stop applying our societal standards to these non-human beings. So keep all these things in mind when you want to work with deities, because a lot of people, like, they overgauge their involvement with them. Like, not everything is a sign. Not everything is, a direct interaction from your deity, because they got other shit to do. And I'm going to use the Loki thing as an example, because for some reason, that is who is on trend right now. Because everybody's like, oh, the flies. Like, it's getting winter. Bugs come inside because it's warm, not because Loki wants to brighten your day. Like, I'm sorry, but that's a reach for me. I'm not saying that, he doesn't give you attention occasionally, but Loki being Loki and the nature of him, he's not going out of his way for you. Like, he's very chaotic. So, no. Not everything is a sign. And gods aren't humans. And we shouldn't be treating them as such. And we need to respect them for what they are and what they have done to existence. And I think it's a little bit of a double standard when, you want to say, oh, well, the gods do this and the gods do that, and they have created all of this. But then in the same breath, oh, I don't worship them. What? It's just, no. And I get that, like, I'm jumping around a lot. I've had a lot of caffeine because it is 10 and I'm usually in bed by 7. But I hope this gets you started at least on what it is to do deity work. And if you want, I can start breaking it down for things in different ways that you can acknowledge deities, different ways you can worship deities, and what you are looking for if you want to go the patron route. I really cannot express enough that a patron is not a willy-nilly light decision, and you do not have more than one. That's it. You do not have more than one, because essentially having a patron means that deity has claimed you. That is your parent. Like, that is, you belong to them at that point. And while, yes, there is a mutual beneficiary to it, you belong to them. And think of trying to have multiple patrons, much the same as cheating. Because then it becomes like, well, what is this one not providing you with that you're going to go over here to this one, and what are they not providing that you want to go over this? You get the idea. It's trying to double dip to get what you want, and disrespecting the relationship and the bond that is a patronage to a deity. I'm very particular about that because it gets misused so much. And when you misuse it, it disrespects that bond. And it disrespects the importance and the seriousness of what it is to have a patron. So, patron, big decision, big adult decision that will last your life. Worship is fine. That's it. Worship is fine. Learn and grow. Deities will present themselves when you're ready for that. That is all. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. And as always, like, subscribe if you haven't already. I have lots more videos. Just go through them. I'm at like 30 something now. Then that's after disabling a bunch. If you haven't already, check out the TikTok. I also have Instagram, but I'm not very good at Instagram. I'm very lacking on that. But if you have an idea for a video that you want me to do, drop it in the comments section. Now, sometimes it filters my comments a little bit. I keep trying to fix it, but I do check them regularly. If you have a topic you want me to cover, I will. Even if it's something I don't know about, I will do the legwork and do the research on it and try my best to answer your question. Now, if I don't get to it right away, it's because I am a very busy person with a career and a house and a family and all that jazz, but I promise I will get to you as quickly as I can. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope this answered your questions.